sitting in the bed, damn quiet. It's like, okay. Here we go.
I know.
Can't really get into it.
Yeah.
He got a couple tumors he aspirated, so we couldn't.
Oh, okay, they were okay. Just had to come.
We went out, stay, recovery,
Passed him right
stay
along.
at night.
Who did you go to? Chrissy?
Yeah, and then she had a vet training with her, so she's gonna be there for the summer, but she was great. And then she's going back to school to
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not.
Just sunny, flowers out, trees blooming.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh. Huge, maybe only a tree in front of the house.
Yeah.
Hold up.
Oh, can I leave there?
Welcome back.
Yeah. Shoot. Yeah, that seemed like
They were the same time.
Right.
Yeah. This was about 10-15 seconds off. Yeah, I did my best. You did your time. Well, it's gonna have to be good enough.
You got tired of me complaining.
Yes, it did.
I did not hear from Cubs.
No.
You guys coming in.
I didn't hear from him, no. You're texting me. I just, it's so. Because it was like in the 95, I was going to doctor's. Okay. I've got a whole line of delivery too for Michael. He was having suicide. Sure.
Let me try that first. I'll try to see. Should we get started?
It's a 6.
You know, because they have the.
Okay.
high school.
All right, let's call the meeting to order and let's see, Victor, would you like to do roll call?
Yep, Sarah McLean.
Here.
Allison Larson.
Here.
Scott Reese.
Here.
Dan Mulder.
Here.
Esther O'Donnelly.
Here.
Dick Swarthout. Here. And John Cups is absent. What we do is a quorum.
Good. Moving on to the minutes of the March 21st meeting. Did everybody get a chance to glance at those?
Okay.
I have one correction. For some reason, I'm not on the present list.
Traffic.
Hi, John.
Sure. You're whining, John. You're whining.
Did you get that, Victor?
Yeah, right now, Dana should be in the correct list.
Yep. That's all I had. If minutes look good. We have a motion.
I motion to approve the minutes. Second.
Good.
All in favor?
Right. Board communications, let's see. We do have something, but I'm gonna hold it as a discussion, you might think. We got a quote back for a brochure from Topo Nexus. And that would be for the Parks brochure, passport program we were talking about. So let's just wait and talk about that. I can't think of anything else, right? Rachel didn't mention anything else. Oh, we did get a preliminary layout back on the playground on the beach option. And so we've got a few more things that need to be looked into. This sketch had the footprint with all the big fall zones, like almost to the water. So I'm imagining that the GIS that they used was the area that we had the really high water, but still that's a bit of a concern. Yeah, and then we still need to figure out, you know, if we're gonna have a level playground, how much higher than the sand it's gonna be. Are we gonna need a railing around the whole thing? Yeah, so, oh, and then what happens if the synthetic turf is underwater for a year? Does that void a warranty? Is it gonna be so full of water it won't dry out and we'll have like black mold problem or something like that? So a few more questions that need to be delved into.
Yeah, and staff and Rachel's working on that, I know.
Yes, yep. And then, yeah, then I think we will have a chance to talk about it at the board before anything happens. I hope so. So, let's see, let's move along then. And I
do
have,
Another communication. Rachel said that, I don't know if he'll be here, but Trevor Vandenbrink, he is hired as the parks maintenance. He used to work for the skate park.
Yes.
But now he'll be doing the improvements to the disc golf course for this summer. So
Yes.
he should be starting this spring.
that's
He's
great.
good,
That's
good
great.
guy.
I actually heard he was supposed to start that this week or next
Oh,
week.
yeah, this spring is what I heard. So maybe that's this.
Yeah, and he's gonna be looking at improvements to the back 9 holes this year, I think.
And I think the trail
Um,
system too.
And the trail system too, yes, and making sure they're not intersecting in a way that would be dangerous. We have what looks like one person on Zoom. Hi, Maureen. Okay, let's see. Do we have any public comments at this time? Maureen, do you have anything? Okay, let's continue on. So I would like to start the discussion with an inspirational quote. And I was wondering whether this could be kind of interesting to do whenever we have a meeting, have board members see what they can come up with that might inspire the rest of us. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with Frederick Law Olmsted. He's called the father of landscape architecture. He designed New York's Central Park and was on the board of Yosemite. And he really crusaded for parks and recreation areas as a means to overcome isolation. And he was around kind of turn of the century. And this was one of his supporters. So parks are actually coming into considerable numbers in all parts of the country, and everywhere they produce the same social results. That is, they bring about fine community spirit, awaken civic consciousness and cooperation, and make for a whole-souled companionship instead of individualism and isolation. If we could see the playground idea prevail, the gain to the nation through the ever-increasing number of cheerful, oriented, industrious, patriotic citizens will be far greater than if mines of fabulous wealth were uncovered or all the commerce in the world were brought under our flag. So that was what they thought about back in the late 1800s. Okay, are people interested about trying to do something like this to open our meetings, or lukewarm?
Sure. I'm thinking.
No, yeah. Does somebody want to take next meeting?
You look for something.
Okay, Karen's up. Good, okay. Discussion items, Easter egg hunt recap. So thank you for everybody that came and volunteered, including Nancy helped out a bit when she was there too. It was lots of fun. I was busy running around. Bill thought that maybe there were 150 plus to 200 kids this year, which is more than last year even. And we went through the 2,000 eggs. We had some that we had kept reserved for late arrivals, which we had again this year, and kids that didn't get enough eggs. So that all worked out well. And the weather was somewhat better. We had some nice gentle snowflakes coming down.
I got a lot of nice comment from parents. They're saying
Yeah.
what a wonderful experience it was. And
They're very grateful,
Yeah.
yeah. Good, and we were gonna maybe try and jot down a list of things that we can go over next year, so we remember, what we'd like to add.
I did email a couple notes to
Okay.
Rachel. Is that something you want us to share?
Sure, do you wanna
now,
go
or-
over
Yep,
that?
yep.
Yeah.
So I sent out the announcements that you had written up beforehand as just kind of a reminder, so that way we can have those written down for next year. Pretty simplistic, 3 age groups. Chief Kyle will do the countdown, make sure everyone has eggs. Easter Bunny having volunteers, which I thought was a really nice way to put that, to
Yeah.
help with the eggs, to kind of alert parents to hard candy and peanuts if there are any concerns there. Afterwards, having the Easter Bunny stick around for photos. And then if anyone wants to donate eggs back to the Easter Bunny, the bin's at the top of the park. And then forgot to mention the collection at City Hall afterwards. So that's maybe a thought for Rachel, is that if she's thrown out a social media post that want to bring theirs here as they're cleaning up Easter.
We can leave a bin outside or something.
Yeah. And then some ideas or notes for next year. When people are first arriving, I think it'd be fun to have music, and it doesn't have to be a live anything. It can be a something that's simple with a Spotify list or something along those lines, just to set the mood and the tone for the excitement. Kids love it. Perhaps having a microphone of some sort. And so if there was some type of, I don't know if we own this or if something to think about, some kind of sound portable thing that you could take around. This year it wasn't windy, so people could hear if you had, people could hear basically, but if it was windy or anything else was going on, you might not be able to hear any type of announcement. I think that would be a missed
Something, but it
opportunity.
wasn't totally working, right?
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Mhm.
And then, this is just an idea, but perhaps having the Easter Bunny have some type of entrance, for excitement, whether that's the fire department or the police chief, dropping off the Easter Bunny. And then perhaps a spot that for the Easter Bunny to take photos that's kind of intentional, with perhaps a yard sign that simply states event sponsored by Harbor Springs Parks and Rec. It's just another way to, market the group and, that as well. Trash can, there wasn't a trash can at the park. So, there were also no doggy bags. So if that was something that could perhaps be there for next year. I know I was like shoving candy wrappers in my pockets and then later picking up some candy wrappers that fell out of people's pockets. So the other notes that I had was those small bags that she had purchased were perfect size. Great idea. And then to have the volunteers at the bottom of the park with eggs in their pocket to throw out if there were kids that
Yep. and
didn't
they
have a
they
lot at
did
the
do
end.
that, yeah, but that was good.
I'm not sure what the age limit is, but at the far end, there were some big kids, like 15-year-olds. And Sarah can tell you, they swallowed up the eggs very rapidly. So I don't know how you control that, but
I think there was an adult doing it too. And I don't know if she thought she was doing it for a little kid that was homesick or what, but that looked a little odd too.
Well, this year, the flyer said all ages welcome, which I don't think we had that the first year. But that was on the flyer this year.
Should we limit the age going forward?
I'm kind of thinking of Halloween. I'd rather see teenagers out trick or treating
Yeah.
than off doing something maybe different.
When you kind of wonder if some of them there are, what's the right word? Have some kind of disability, so to speak, kind of thing. So, they're out there just having fun, so.
We could make a fourth run, smaller fourth run at the far end for over.
Oh, we were gonna make note that by
12
far the biggest area was the little kids. Yeah. So that should be bigger, more eggs.
I feel like if we get to a point where it's too big and we can't service the younger students, then maybe we limit, or students, younger kids, then maybe we limit the older, but at this point, unless it's
Or
a
put the
huge
older
cost.
kids down in lower zone or something.
But it was over
What do you think
2.5
about-
minutes.
So we had 2,000 eggs. I told Rachel, I think, what if we just went up to 2,500? I think every egg we would put out would be gone, and it didn't seem like anybody had excessive numbers.
Yeah, I don't know what the cost of that would be, like if that's something we have to worry about, but I didn't see anybody really upset about their, yeah. And also whoever loaded the eggs with 2 or 3 things in each item, that was really exciting. 'Cause,
So everybody knows
There was a
that it
lot
was
in
the
there.
Key Club at the high school and, was it A Bluffs?
Hillside.
Hillside.
Friendship.
So it's a nice way to get seniors involved too. The new banner looked good. Okay, any other thoughts on the Easter egg hunt?
We ever thought about trying to get sponsors, local businesses for some of those
Yeah, and I
events?
just was about to say, well, I think it was sponsored by our anonymous donor, but I guess I'm not 100% sure on that. So we may not have our anonymous donor next year. She's had a little change of heart about kind of the direction Harbor Springs is going and. So, okay, let's move on then to parks visits. So, Zoll Street Beach and Jean Jardine. Who wants to start? Let's start with Zoll Beach. Scott?
I can start. You want to start, Scott?
Yeah, it's fine. So, yeah, I visited both and two things, at Zoll Street, there's some cleanup work that needs to be done, but I kind of think that they may have already done some of it since I was there a couple of days ago. And, but the biggest thing for me was that as you're going down to the Sandy area, there's I don't know what you call it, a curb, and it just needs to be leveled out, you know, it's kind of stuffed out. And then there's a tarp that's kind of laying there, and just the beach needed to be cleaned up. So, but, you know, in general, I think that, you know, there's nothing that I see about adding, you know, X or Y to the beach, just needs to clean it up a little bit, which I think they may have already done from just driving by. Now, at Jean Jardine,
Should we finish Zoll first?
okay,
Get all those thoughts out. Karen, did you have some stuff?
Yeah. Parking and traffic has always kind of been a problem, you know, for young kids going to Zoll Street. So I don't know if there's a way that we can call out a crossing area that's really clear for kids and parents. If they have to park over here, for example, you know, where it's safe for them to cross, probably 2 crossings to get down there. There's a way to maybe mark that more clearly at the intersection. Might be something to consider. The other thing is, if there's, I don't know how we might mark this, but since one of the issues has been, you know, dogs on the beach, and I can confess, I had a couple of really bad labs before that used to run out of the car and eat everybody's picnic lunch. So if there's a way that, you know, they have to keep them on leashes, but also if there's like a pathway, maybe closer to the dinghy storage area or the kayak storage area where people are encouraged to get their dogs down to the beach that way, instead of like across the entire park.
So dogs are supposed to be there between 10 and 6. So both beaches have the same hours now. So I don't think anybody's,
Yes,
I haven't heard
sorry,
that.
I don't think that's right. I think Zoll Street is
It's all the
open to
time.
dogs all the time.
oh, I thought we made both the parks the
I
same.
would love it, but
I think
I think Zoll is,
it was just,
Still remains a dog park.
well, yeah, but
it's just a city beach.
seems like that we did set a time
I
for
thought we
Zoll
did.
for some reason.
I don't recall
I don't
that.
recall.
Let's
that.
find out.
I don't,
I have to look at it. I know we talked about it.
We talked about it, I
Yeah.
don't think we did.
We
I'll
don't,
confirm
okay.
with Rachel though. I think it was just a city beach.
Well, if we still allow, which I think we're going to be encouraged to allow, because it's a pretty popular area, if there's a way to delineate, you know, please bring your dogs down this way, you know, on either side of the park, instead of down the middle, where it can be a little crazy, getting some of the animals
Yeah, and
through there.
people let them off, you know, where they park.
Yeah, right. And then
they
go
just
running through
beeline,
the
yeah.
picnic areas and all that. So those were 2 things that I thought of. I know we already have the signage down there to ask people to clean up and leash their dogs, clean after their dogs and so on. I think we need to make sure that's really visible in the park as well, so everybody can enjoy it. So those were the couple of things I thought of for Soul Street.
Millicent?
What about adding a bike rack? That was one
Oh,
thought
that's
that I
good,
had.
Right.
And then also, last summer when I was there, I remember the grass being a bit soggy. Obviously, this time of year, you can't tell,
Springs.
so I wasn't sure if it was.
Can't do,
oh, it was
that's the
springs.
reason the
Okay, got
concrete
it.
wall is there,
Okay,
is to keep the runoff
got it.
that's
Okay.
going through. Cause we put that wall in 10 years ago, maybe, when the beach was rebuilt a little bit. So it's to keep
Okay.
the upper from sliding through. But yeah, it's because of, there's a lot of underground
Springs, okay,
water
good,
flowing.
got it.
the
through there.
drain was very active when I went a couple days ago. It was pouring water into the,
A lot of springs in this whole general region down through here, so that's the reason why the ground is
Okay.
the way it is.
Got it. I don't have anything new. Besides, I was gonna also mention the bike rack, and then, just trash cans in general, making sure that we have perhaps more than one, and they could be there later, so.
Just one thing to talk about is, should we have recycling at each park?
I mean, if the city's willing to,
Yeah, be good.
I think that'd be
I
great.
know one concern Rachel has that it's gonna add to the time for whoever's collecting. But, yes, I don't know how that would go if she would just have. Yeah, just collect them both at the same time. It might take a minute more. And she does have a new guy starting this summer, right? There's gonna be Rob still and then, or maybe Trevor's gonna be the one
Trevor's
that's
gonna be doing.
gonna get more
new
hours,
maintenance,
yeah.
I remember we looked at this with Lucas and Rachel before, and one of the issues might have been the type of bins and sorting it. So there's that to look at into, right, separating the bottles from the cardboard, paper, et cetera. So, and whether or not we'd have to do that or the county recycling would do that. So I think that's a question we have to look into. I don't think that was one of the issues though, aside from just the extra
The
work.
labor, yeah, the labor.
Well, how much longer are we under contract with recycling?
Well,
Is it next year or we got
I think
another
it's 2025.
25?
Can double check, but I think it's 2025, because we looked at this in 2021. I think it was a 5-year contract from 2020. Either end of next year or 25.
Any thoughts, John?
You guys pretty much covered.
Right now, there's a bench there, which is great. And I think usually, aren't there 2 or 3 picnic
Picnic
tables?
tables,
So I think maybe those were getting stained over the winter.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of that
So
stuff's even out yet. So,
Pardon?
a lot of that stuff's not even out yet.
I think they're just wrapping up on staining the tables.
Yeah, which is great. That's really nice. Any thoughts from the audience? Oh, Dick, sorry.
I agree with everything everybody said. Don't have any to add anything to it.
I just, you know me in the dog park, but I think a lot of folks don't leash their dogs. And I think that's an issue with what Karen was talking about, kids, you know, kind of get bowled over and they stop at the picnic tables along the way. So I think it would be good if there was some way to enforce that a little bit better. We could make it a nicer beach.
Yeah, like maybe a sign that says, please keep your dogs on leash until you get to the beach.
To the water's edge or
Yeah.
some, I don't know, but I know most of them get let out of cars and just tear for the beach.
Yeah, I mean, do you think it's possible to try to delineate an area in the park, encourage them to
There is
be
that kind of
on one
little
side or
path
the
up,
other side to
east side.
direct them down to the water that way?
It still boils down to people being responsible for their
Yeah,
shit.
if people would do it, that would be great.
Yeah, I mean, you can always try.
You can try, certainly. That's just my biggest thing down there, is it gets super chaotic sometimes for little kids.
3 months out of the year, it's a show,
Right.
for sure.
It's,
What about, have you seen issues since you live so close to the beach, Nancy, where it's been dangerous for kids crossing the road? If they can't park in the parallel parking area or the,
well, it
The
is
entire month
dangerous.
of July.
Yeah, I mean, it is dangerous because there are cars coming out weekly and bicycles. It's very congested down there. And there isn't a lot of good parking.
right?
Would it do any good to stripe some crosswalks? I know we have to talk to Lucas.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it might, it wouldn't hurt, certainly. I do think that the biggest draw of that beach is the allowing dogs there all the time. That's what drives most of the people that are there with dogs.
Well, that and Weekly's such a hot walking
Yeah.
stretch,
So
for
people
dogs
park there,
and
yeah,
everything.
it's-
So I mean, it's,
Yeah,
this whole area is, very congested, June, July and
it
August.
is. It's, yeah.
And it's not just the beach. I mean, it's
It's just the
everything.
whole
Summer
area.
people are here, people coming to town to walk.
Right.
This playground, here. So, yeah.
I had one more idea, and I don't know if this is like helping out the dog owners a little too much, but would we have like you know, a little box that would have like tennis balls in it or something like, I've ended up at the beach when I wasn't planning to and didn't have a Frisbee, God forbid, you know.
Well, most dogs are like my lab and he'll find the ball somewhere.
Stick.
Yeah, so I wouldn't encourage it if people bring them, because it just turns into a,
Junk things up a little bit.
yeah.
A lot of
Yep.
people leave them behind by accident too, so you get off the fine accident down there. But I think maybe trying to mark the crosswalk more clearly might be helpful too.
Is there still dinghy storage down there?
Yeah, we
There
can't,
isn't there?
that's part of the marine thing, we
Yeah.
can't take that away.
But no, I just was wondering, because last year there were very few dinghies down there, maybe 4 or 5. I just wondered, I didn't know if there's.
I think
still
all the
dinghies
spaces
down there.
are rented,
Oh,
whether
yeah,
they're,
Spaces
all
are,
the spaces are rented, whether they're there or not,
Whether
it's
the
up to the
dinghies
owner.
are there.
yeah, we are, something that the Harbor Commission we're talking about is, trying to put a rule that we have that has to be occupied 29 days.
Looks like the kayaks. have to
Yeah.
have.
Yeah, so.
Right, should we move on to Jean Jardine? Who would like to go first?
Fine.
We'll go for it. You know, we've talked a lot about shuffleboard at different parks, and that might be a good place for shuffleboard in the future. I mean, as I looked at each one of the parks on the project matrix, I thought about who's using the parks, who are the primary users, and Jean Jardine seems to be more older folks that are there picnicking and so on. So maybe it would make sense to consider putting shuffleboard down there. If we had choices of where to put it, it might be a good location for it, because there's plenty of space here and flat space where something like that would fit pretty well. That's one idea. Making sure we have enough picnic tables and umbrellas. And again, the crossing, the crosswalks, I think are important for all ages, getting from Jean Jardine all the way down to Soul Street. And then do we need to consider another game box there? So if kids leave the beach and they come up this way to picnic, maybe here as opposed to the beach, do we need another game box? At
Do
Jean
you think that
Jardine?
would happen though? I see kids just eating at the picnic tables, you know, at the beach.
Yeah, I mean, they're mostly there to swim, but I'm thinking about the people actually using Jean Jardine.
I don't know, I might think that would be a little bit lesser priority than some of the other parks, but what do you guys think?
I'm much in favor of green space.
Mhm.
And I think that area should be used for special projects. Maybe we could add a couple more picnic tables.
Yeah,
And maybe a shuffleboard or two, but in general, I would rather that be a green space. People walk their dogs in there and walk through the park and on their way to the marine watching area. So I would like to be more of a green space than anything else.
Okay, so I think that we should consider another event. And what I think would work at Jean Jardine would be a community dog show. And I'd like to see it take place in either late July or early August. And you can do it, you know, I did some research online to see what the different ways to do it. You can have it, but you know, it's more as a fun event. It's not, you know, too serious. And to have a different, just like you have different sizes of dogs and types of dogs, and you bring your dog and you walk a little bit in a circle, and there's a judging that goes on. And then also another thing that I'd like to see incorporated in it is that you have the dog owner lookalike contest, which is a lot of fun, you know? And, you know, I think all ages would come to this. You know, you have families and you have, you know, so many people love their dogs. So I'd like to see us sponsor another event. Just one day, I don't know how many hours and stuff, but we gotta work out the details.
When I was in Black Mountain, North Carolina, visiting, they actually had a pet Halloween parade. And something around Halloween time where they would dress their, obviously, their pets and costumes and parade them, and they have a judging thing. So it's very similar to that. Your idea was in the summer, but I'm just throwing that out there as well.
Well, last year there was that wiener dog races that they had, and it was very well attended, and that's only one kind of dog. So then if you include all classes of dogs, I think that this could attract, 500 to 1,000 people. And
I
at
think
Gene-
that's a good idea.
At
I've
Gene
been
Jardine,
to, I've been to
yeah,
one of
parking.
those and they're a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's just,
Well, do you remember years ago on the 4th of July, we always had a look-alike dog contest down at the Marina Park, which is down Marina Park. And it was a fundraiser for the Humane Society. And that was really well attended and it was really fun. And everybody made their way downtown to see it for the 4th of July parade. And then the winner got to be in the parade. That was the
Well,
big
could be a
win.
thought, is we could partner with the
Yeah.
Humane Society.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking about the time of year, like, are people gonna have so many other things that they wouldn't want to do this, or is it a good time because there's lots of families around? Or are we all gonna be busy and it's gonna
This
be
idea's
hard?
not bad, if you just late July, early August, I mean, we wanna do it while the summer people are here.
Yeah,
So, late July, early August, I think would be, you gotta look at what the chamber's got going on, and there's a lot going on in the summer, obviously, so you'd have to,
but this is during the day, I don't know what time, but
Well,
it's
it-
not
it-
all
good use
day.
of the park.
The other thing is, if you think about the Easter egg hunt, so almost all the communities in our area had an Easter egg hunt on the same day we had it. And yet we drew a nice crowd and people were really happy about it. I think this will be a lot busier because it's summer.
We'll put Kyle Knight in charge of dog control. By the way, he did a great job at the egg hunt. He was very, very helpful.
He was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we just have to decide what else we want to do. Do we want to have a hot dog stand, or maybe Small Batch wants to come do it?
We gotta think it
I don't know.
think
We'll
it
have to
through
think it
for the next,
Yeah,
by the next meeting.
when you saw any of these, did any research on it, find any information on liability? Because that's something that we'd want to, it's a way to make it as safe as possible
Dog
and
bites.
have dog bites, have the participants maybe sign a waiver.
Right. Some places they
With that many
charge,
dogs and that many people.
yeah, some places there's an entrance fee, like a $5, per adult entrance fee. So, I just thought of the idea and I Google it and I look for pictures to see. I already have a pretty good idea who's gonna win the lookalike contest. though.
I'm trying to think who that is.
It's not me.
Ivor and his gray hair and me.
No.
But it was right down at the park and it was really popular.
Yeah.
And I brought in lots of people. And we,
Well, would
could
it
we
be-
consider even doing it on the 4th of July? I mean, that's when you're gonna get the crowds down.
Sure.
Are we gonna be down
we
there?
tried.
The police
that.
are
We tried
occupied.
it then on 4th of July in Marina Park and in the daytime and no one showed up. So
This was popular
But
every
people,
4th of July in the mornings. It was
A
always
lot
in
of
the
people
mornings
don't bring
too.
their dogs downtown though. I don't.
personally, I think a
But
lot
they
of
do
people,
for,
a lot of
something
people
like this,
come
they
for the
do.
parade
Uh,
in the morning and they do the marathon, the parade, then they go spend some time with their families and then they come back into town at night. That's
This would happen in the mornings, like 10 o'clock in the morning, you come and
4th of
enter the
July.
contest and
Parade,
then
what time's
you're
the
on to
parade's
there.
at 10, right? 9, 10?
Yeah.
break, one.
no, it's not till afternoon.
But I don't think we need another thing on the 4th of July.
Our show's going on, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Maybe that first week in August, do we need to bring more people to town? And would it be better to have it at Marina Park where people would then go spend money or go out to eat or something?
Yeah.
I like having something to use Gene Jardine for sure, but
Well, I think down here, there's plenty of room, you put a temporary fence up, a tent, different things, and it would, utilize the park.
more room here, yeah.
Yeah,
There's hundreds of pictures online, different.
and I don't think
communities
it's
that show-
about bringing more people to town, there's already gonna be thousands of people here.
Yeah.
So, you could get the weekly people, the Harbor Point people, your local people. They're gonna have their pets here, so anybody that wants to participate is gonna be here.
Should we?
I think it's just a matter of getting with Rachel and,
Next meeting, we all come with some ideas.
You got
And,
parking at
like,
Ottawa.
what components do we want and,
and have Rachel look
yeah,
in conjunction with
Yeah.
the chamber and already find out what other events are, going on, what weekends are even available.
Funny.
Or if you wanna do it during the week.
yesterday That she just gave Rachel the
Yeah.
whole schedule for the whole year or something.
Yeah.
So Rachel should have.
It's on their website.
I think it'd be fun. It's a great idea.
Good.
Came to a minute, Scott, but not bad.
I like these events, they're fun.
That's why you're head of the event committee. How do you like that?
We don't have that committee. No, but we could.
A lot of responsibility.
Any other thoughts about Jean Jardine?
My thought was keep it green, add a garden and another garbage can,
When you say garden, do you mean like?
like a community garden,
Yeah, we
sorry.
talked
And
about
I
that.
I
thought
brought that
that
up
same thing. Yeah.
Last year, yeah.
Talked about that last year.
We talked about internally here about a garden potentially on this green space up here. But I don't know if that's the best spot for it. So this might be a good idea too, but we've talked 'cause of what to do with that green space. Yeah, on this side of City Hall, next to the spillway that goes all the way to the Ottawa Stadium parking lot. So, but it depends, as a green space, this would probably be more used as a green space than that.
So that might be a better spot for
But-
community garden.
But it might look better to have a garden here. I'm just, but no,
Well, I
it's a
think
good idea.
we're
We've
talking
talked about it internally.
Vegetable garden, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, in like, I don't know, 5 or 6 raised boxes.
I think it's a great idea.
What about the substation? We're still looking at the Deer Park for the substation.
Yeah, so that's still the spot that we're looking at for the substation. They're doing the geotechnical investigations right now for that, so it should be feasible, a workable spot, but yeah, that's the location. And we have to go back to figure out what we're gonna do with the Deer Park, shifting it in that way or whatnot, so.
So just to Dick's point and your point too about preserving green space, I wonder if community gardens would be good on the other side of the driveway there. And just leave this as a flexible space.
Yeah, the one
They
thing
could
with the
run a
community
water
gardens
faucet out there,
is that the fence would need some sort of fencing if you want to protect it from deer. So
probably.
you gotta think about the way it's gonna look as well. So that's just something.
So probably, with the substation, this isn't gonna be the year to do it, right? It'll all be under construction and used for staging, do you think?
Yeah, if you're talking about the garden going on this side of, we have to, honestly, I don't think the substation construction will happen for at least another year and a half. So it'd be a while, because we still have to go through the whole design process and approval process. So.
How do you envision that working? Are these individuals that would sign up to use one of the raised gardens or part of a raised garden? Or how does that normally work?
I'm not exactly sure, but kind of that way we can get volunteers involved and have it kind of grow up our volunteer group too. So kind of do it hand in hand.
I've seen them do it both ways. There's been certain community gardens where you can buy a plot, and then if you don't have, usually in cities where they don't have a lot of space to garden, they do that. In more rural areas, they tend to do it, as Allison was saying, is more of just like a volunteer base to make it look nice. I mean, I've been in places where they just had like the employees from the city hall would come and they had the garden, they maintain a garden, and people from the community can just come and either help maintain it or pick the food and stuff. So it could be volunteer based if there's enough
They do have
interest.
something like that at, up at the Presbyterian, right?
We have a community and they're small plots. People pay, I don't know, $35, I think. And the plots are 8 by 8 maybe. And the water's provided. It is fenced because otherwise you won't have anything down here. And that's just to cover the cost of the water and that kind of stuff.
Soil.
Yeah, just what keeps it.
Should we discuss that at our May meeting too? Maybe everybody can take a
Do
run
some
up to the
research.
church and see what it looks like and.
And Petoskey's, have you ever seen Petoskey's? You might want to go back there. I forget which road it's on.
Sheridan.
Sheridan Road, yeah,
Yeah.
just to see what it looks like from that
big
perspective.
space
It's a
there,
big
too.
space, so.
Nancy, do people bring their own vegetables to plant and so on then?
Yeah, they bring their own stuff and then
They keep it weeded.
yeah, they're supposed to keep it, and at harvest time, if they have extra, then they do whatever they either bring it into the church and let people take it or give it to Manna or whatever. But the plots aren't particularly big because most people don't really want a huge garden. So, but there are lots of rabbits down here. I mean, my garden is a huge challenge because of all the rabbits and squirrels and deer. I mean, they're all over. down there.
In our backyard.
Plant potatoes, you're safe.
They ate even onions last year. Except the tomatoes. They didn't touch the tomatoes.
We also discussed having a bike repair station here where the wheelway will spill out. And I don't know if Rachel's working on that, but maybe we put that on the staff list.
Is the idea that people will continue on down this road here
Yes.
from the path? Okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense. But
So we have to figure out like, where's the best spot?
I mean, in theory, could encourage, maybe I'm just around here at the wrong times, but I don't often see people using this park. So, I think about, when I think about, the green space and picnicking areas, I tend to feel like people picnic over where there's a bit more of a view or,
This place is busy at lunch,
at lunchtime.
morning when people are walking their dogs or at lunchtime. That side of the park is packed.
Get a lot of contractors
A
or.
lot of contractors and everything, they like
Do
to
we
come
have enough
watch the
picnic
deer.
tables then?
Well, that's what I was,
Yeah.
I kind of agree with him,
If
just a few
that's
more
the-
tables and things down
And like I
there.
said, I'm not always down in
They
this
use
area,
this
so.
park a lot to run dogs. I mean, we can see it from the house.
Good.
There are certain people that come and run their dogs down here all the time. And they like the length, I mean, the bigger dogs, so they can throw stuff further in. Jean's already.
I don't know, probably like 10-1 is when like the contractors are,
Yeah.
and people are in and around the deer having lunch doing. All the lawn care people are always, packed in here and different things, so. Certain times a day.
And a lot of people also visit Deer Park, and sit down and eat lunch, so, but that would change or shift at least if the substation goes there, so.
Everybody always asks, why aren't we getting rid of the deer park while we're doing all this? But that's not really our venue, that would end up being a city council thing, and I don't know who would bring it to city council, so I don't know, I would say we steer clear of it, right?
I mean, is the deer park technically considered a park or is it, I don't know if it has the name park
I
in
think
it, but is
I would
it
consider it part of
It's
the
a
whole
park, yeah,
park
it's a
area
park.
here. Yeah.
part of Jean Jardine? Is that?
No, we consider it a separate park.
Separate park.
What's the population there now?
I don't know, honestly. John, I don't know if you guys have.
Child.
6, maybe 8.
Depends on.
They haven't,
Be having fun.
they haven't had I don't think they've had the fawns yet. I haven't looked in the last couple of days, so.
Somebody did tell me they're no longer sending the deer to the hunting preserve.
I don't think, I haven't heard that.
They manage, Storms still manage it.
Yeah, they still take.
They manage it, but
I don't know
Did they bring-
what they do with their deer,
they manage the male.
yeah. They remove the deer and what they do with them, I think it goes to the preserve. I don't know where you heard that from, but it doesn't go to.
Yeah, I don't think anything's changed as far as operational thing. I know we've talked about not having as many in there.
Or any.
And the DNR, I think, regulates all that anyway. So,
When I went to a vote to the community, it lost by 1 vote not to have park anymore.
There's a few votes, yeah.
I thought it just went a couple.
no, it's a handful.
Yeah.
Oh, it's in the summer, it's one of the most visited parks we got.
Well, what I can say is that if we decide the substation will go there after looking at the final plans, council will have to decide on what to do with the deer park, to shift it, to make it smaller or whatnot, and then that's up to council if they want the Parks Board advice at that stage. So I would say I would wait until we have final determination on the substation before we go down that path, because there's no point in talking about it.
That makes sense, yeah. Okay, how about if we keep moving on? The Zoll Park Playground, there's still, like we said, there's still some things that are being looked into, so it's not, like a slam dunk quite yet, but it seems like.
Yeah, pretty confident that it's gonna go back in the original location, but the details just need to be worked out. So-
Rather than the beach.
No, original location where it was
Where-
okay, okay.
on the beach, but yeah, so just working out some details. Yeah, those are minor things, I think.
I'm still looking at getting it And in May, is that still the
Yeah,
plan?
that's the goal, yeah. So Rachel's working closely with Doug and to get a final design and site plan for it. Because it's about getting the turf in place and fitting the pieces with the fall zones like Dana had said. So she's still working on that and I'm sure.
She's got the layout.
Yeah, but it's not final measurements.
Final measurements, that's
Yeah.
the next step, yeah, and then
So-
shooting grade and all that kind of stuff, so.
So I'm sure she'll update you guys when she gets more.
Okay, how about if we move on to the project matrix then? Rachel and I had a little first go at updating it with our park visits we've had so far. So that's been good. And I think what we'll do is just go through like we did at Tree Board, Victor, and try and come up with a score for each of these. So we had done this last year and then it'll help us decide what it is we want to work on this year. Does that make sense?
So the priority high, medium, low, are there
Yes.
numbers assigned to?
So number one would be a high priority. Number three would be a lower priority. And then I guess, so the one with the lowest number of points would be the ones we'd end up working on.
Are these numbers currently in there from previous scoring?
Yeah, from last year.
Okay.
Okay, let's just start going through. Victor, do you mind keeping track of points?
Rachel told me I had to do this.
Huh?
I said Rachel.
Yeah,
told
she
me
didn't
to
tell
do
you
this.
to do that. Yeah.
All right, give me 1 sec for the goal. Start with the top, right?
Yeah. So, 5-year parks plan, done. I don't think there's anything we have to do on that, no updating right now. I think we will maybe like later in the year, look at it and see if there's anything we want to adjust. Waterfront geese control, I can tell you Rachel is looking into something that she's excited about, that are lights and they're not obtrusive to people, but they flash and the geese hate them. So we were talking about maybe trialing that. Make sure that we also think that's not obtrusive. Continue with the goose poop machine. So we I don't think we need points any more than on 5-year plan. Geese control. Let's see, why don't we just start? We'll just go around
Yeah,
and
we'll start
so I go
1
ahead.
to 3, 1 being most important.
One most important.
One,
Karen?
I would give it a 1.
One.
One. Harry, I'm sorry, I need some more context. When we're ranking these, we're not putting these in order, we're just saying if we view it as being a high priority.
Yes.
Yes.
And then the
Hold
next time we
numbers.
look at it, we'll see which ones have
Thank
the
you.
most points and least points.
Okay, so 1 as well.
Okay,
I'm gonna be different, say 2.
okay. You rebel. Okay, this is something we talked about, recycling receptacles at all parks. Let's just keep going, start with Dick again.
recycling,
Recycling containers at each park.
1,
Well, I'd like to give it a 1, but I think it's difficult to implement. So I would probably do a 1.5 until we can come up with a way to do it.
Okay, fine. I'll say 1.
I'll say 2.
2, 1,
2,
Okay. Review the environmental best practices for parks maintenance, and that has to do with chemicals, and I can't remember what we had, but just trying to be really environmental in our approach to things. Okay, Dick,
1.5,
I give it a 1.
I give it a 1.
2.
2. I'll say 2.
I'm gonna say 3, because I think the crew already does,
That doesn't matter.
you know, their due diligence. You know, and they've been
Yeah,
doing
that
it,
could be
you know,
true.
for a long time, so I don't think it's our place to stick our nose into it.
Well, even like decisions like the synthetic turf as opposed to other options, you know. Okay, so let's not get sidetracked. So have an annual safety maintenance and ADA compliant checklist for each park.
1,
I would give that a 1.5.
1.
1.5.
You guys, geez.
2. I know, here I am following the rules, right? I asked whole
numbers.
numbers and, so, considering this, it's an annual one, I'd say this is a 1.
2,
All right. Standardizing signage, so we've got it kind of standardized at a few of the parks, some of the ones we've talked about doing our Indian Park, Tourist Park, Harbor View Park.
2,
I would give it a 2.
I say 2.
2.
2.
2,
All right. Concrete pads on downtown benches. So that's like where you put your feet so it doesn't get kind of rubbed through and shabby. So this would not be, for example, at Marine Park. I think that's good to be able to move those benches around for things. This would be like, I don't know what else.
Signing them in concrete, is that what you're saying?
I think it's more like having a pad to put your feet on so it doesn't get all run through. Maybe just putting them in concrete.
what benches are you referring to?
That's a good question.
Talk about like Child's Park.
Pardon?
What benches are you referring to?
That's a good question. I don't know.
They move the benches when they mow. And, they usually put the benches in a similar, but not always the same
At
position.
Marine Park.
At all the parks.
I know Rachel was talking about like
That's what I'm
the benches like at the 2 little beach parks in Glen
Those,
Drive.
those will already have concrete pads.
Okay.
We're gonna put those in the next week or 2.
Are
But
these,
like in our main parks, I don't
I
know
think
that
it's
we
nice to
want,
be flexible, yeah.
are these needed to be ADA compliant? Or is that connected to the previous one? Like, do we have to have at least something?
For a bench,
Would it be nice to have one at a park if that's not my area of expertise, so.
yeah, I'm not sure about that. We can make a note for Rachel though.
Should I put question
Okay,
mark and move on?
yeah, well, let's go ahead and just say how important do we think is concrete?
3,
3.
3,
3.
3.
okay. Community outreach, social media. Like for events and stuff.
1,
I think it's part of a whole marketing plan, actually.
Mhm.
It's kind of hard to separate it out. I had to give a whole marketing plan 1 for sure.
Mhm.
But if we're only doing this one, then I would keep it as
It's a
1.
1.
one,
Our Parks Volunteer Group.
part 1.
Parks Volunteer Group. So we got this started last year. So we have a list of people like Gail Brown and Nancy Rendell that we can call like if we're having an event and we need people.
1,
1.
1,
1.
1. 2.
2,
okay, annual Parks Workday. And I guess you could say flower planting at Marina Park would be that. I don't know, we do it at every park. So maybe, I don't know, maybe it's not that important. Go ahead.
2,
1.5.
2,
2.
3. 2.
2,
okay, create a marketing education strategy involving local schools, businesses, and newspapers. So this actually, the parks brochure is down there. I'm not sure how this differs from the parks brochure. I guess that's more specific. So let's just say marketing program.
2,
1.
2,
2.
1. 1.
1. I kind of like what they got going on.
okay, surveys for all park users for programming and amenity needs. So maybe this is something we plan on doing once a year, or if we have something special coming up. So surveys.
what are we voting on?
This is about surveys, like maybe once a year surveying people, like how you like the things that sold
2,
park.
2,
2.
1,
2.
3. 2.
3,
okay, and then parks brochure with map and events. So that's what we've just gotten a quote for.
1,
1 is part of marketing.
2,
Two.
Two.
All right.
Talk about these.
Funding.
It's hard to like, wait, I have an idea, but it's all good.
Yeah. Funding. So grants, applying for grants.
What is it?
This is applying for grants.
One, I guess.
One.
One,
One,
One.
so the next one has to do with township participation. Everybody knows that Little Traverse and West Traverse participate financially in supporting, what is it, Victor? It's the beach, the ice rink, and Kiwanis. So survey, so we can tell the townships, you know, how many of their people are using our parks to justify them donating.
One,
One.
one,
Two.
Friends of the Park Group, I think this has to do with people that would like to donate money into a fund to help either maintain parks or for special projects.
one,
I'll give that a one.
one,
Two. One.
This one we haven't really talked too much about yet, but an annual fundraiser, we were talking about like having a pig roast at Marina Park or doing something like that. So we don't even really know what number we're assigning because we don't know what we would do, but do we want to try and think of some things, I guess? How important do you think a fundraiser would be?
two,
Two.
Two.
two,
Two.
Okay, now we get into specific parks. So Ford Park, restroom remodel. Oh, that's completed, so we don't need to do that. Benches and kayak storage. There is kayak storage, so I'm not really sure what this means.
These are kayak
Benches.
racks that we have there.
Do they-
Kayak racks.
Do they need updating? I'm not really sure where we
I
are.
think that they need to look at increasing the capacity or the capability. Yeah, we just need to have more racks, and I think that'll call for a redesign. I would give it a one.
one,
One. Yes.
two,
One. Two.
The next one, site dewatering, I think we're taking that one off because Lucas has said we just had that one year where it was really soggy there and it's not really an annual problem.
Only high water,
Pardon?
only when the high
Yeah,
water.
so I don't know that
is-
we need to have that on a project list if it's not a problem right at the moment. Agreed? Good. And then just a little update, Rachel is gonna order a life ring for Ford Park and she's actually ordering them for all of the waterfront parks. And she's gonna leave them out year round because people are still by the water even, you know, in the spring and fall.
Can I add one other thing for Ford Park that's on the list, but it's kind of related to the kayak storage? We need to have a place for people to unload their paddleboards and kayaks if they don't already have a rack, where you don't have to pull onto the grass and fear of being yelled at by somebody who's working there, because there's no other place to unload. You know, if you can't find a parking place, you gotta find a place to unload. And I bring my
Like a
paddleboard down there.
temporary loading zone or something.
Yeah, just temporary little, you know, kind of closer to the launch dock there. So I'd like to consider doing something with that.
When is that reworking of that park? How many years out are we?
It's a good question.
Yeah,
Excellent.
yeah.
We're, I mean, the first thing on the list is the harbor master building remodel.
Okay.
So
5 years.
I would guess
Well, I mean, if we
minimum
take
3
guess-
years, because it's,
I mean,
Okay.
three.
because the amount of money that we're gonna be using from the waterfront fund is gonna be several $100,000, so they would probably want to replenish that a little bit before we spend.
So I think a
Depends, yeah.
realistic guess is 3 to 5.
Yeah, I would say that's the range.
I don't have it clearly in my mind right now, but could we have a sign like a loading zone for personal watercraft somewhere? Maybe Lucas and Rachel could look at that or something.
I know the spot.
You wouldn't want it to say personal watercraft. You'd want to designate it like paddleboard or kayak.
Be more specific.
I know the perfect
For the
spot.
personal watercraft is jet ski.
Oh,
But I just,
yeah. Yeah, I get.
not being smart,
always
I
think
just,
that's
I mean, that's how they're
like-
classified, so.
Yeah.
Are you referring to a couple of the parking spots? Reworking those parking spots?
I
to
don't have
being-
have it in my mind, or maybe there's just like a little extra apron, gravel apron or something that's added, like where it curves around there, where people, you could park for 5 minutes to unload or something. I don't know.
That's gonna
I
take
have
some.
I have an idea where that could be, because that's where I kind of go is on the very far and the southern end of the kayak racks. There's like a little space, green space there where there's no parking. I just kind of pull in there and throw the board off my car as fast as I can and
Is
then
that
park my
something
car.
we could look at?
But I mean, even if
back
it's
in
as simple
dredges?
as a sign and maybe gravel right there. But it's just, it only takes 5 minutes to unload a paddleboard, if that.
And maybe all you
Dock
do
and
is
Dredge
say,
doesn't use their driveway in the summer. So that might be something we could look at.
I'd have to have,
That's what I was.
Well, that's what I'm saying. We could look into that, but there's something already in place that's not used for 2-3 months out of the year.
But then you do have to carry it across the
Yeah.
launch ramp
Right.
to get to the kayak loading zone. That's why Karen unloads where she unloads.
Right.
A lot of people unload there. It's where the outfitter unloads too.
Yeah, right.
It's right where the kayak put in, yes. Because you don't really want people walking across the launch ramp.
Right.
I don't think, in the summer. I think that could create.
well,
It's
that's,
a mess anyway.
all this,
Yeah.
I mean, that's, until we do a rework of that park and the parking, circulation, loading. I don't know. I'll have Lucas.
yeah, maybe
look
just
into it.
something temporary, you know, and just with a simple sign. We don't have to make it complicated.
Yeah, no, it's just as simple like, yeah, it's okay to unload here, but just unload and get out of here. I mean, it's that simple. You don't have to cross the parking lot to get there. You just unload and repark your car, even if you have to park it on the road.
And then, I don't know why benches is with kayak storage, but people have mentioned to me that it'd be nice to have some site furniture there, you know, like if people want a picnic or something. Okay, should we move on to Jean Jardine and the Deer Park and Ottawa Stadium? Community garden, just talked about,
2.
2.
2.
Two.
Adding benches
What
and
about
tables.
John?
That's okay. I was gonna say 3, but
Okay, benches and tables.
2.
2.
1,
2.
1.
1.
Ottawa Stadium concert, so we've got somebody that's interested in promoting something like that. I guess this would be a question of, do we put time towards working towards that?
2.
Just before I respond with a number, I always thought that would be a great venue for 4th of July fireworks. And we could have concessions, we could sell, ask for a $5 donation, whatever, and use it as a little bit of fundraiser. But I mean, it's just sitting there all the time and people are going up in the bluff and sitting illegally on some people's yards. So I would like to consider expanding the use of Ottawa Stadium for things like 4th of July and other concerts.
Okay, and what's your number?
I would give it a 1.
Would give it 2.
2.
3,
2.
I like your idea. I'm gonna go with 2.
Okay, any other ideas for those places? Okay, let's move on to Kiwanis Park, winter sledding events.
1.
1.
1,
1.
1.
1.
These are all completed, the first 4.
utility sink's done, painting is done. There is a couple things that still need,
the floor needs to get painted.
yes,
The walls
that's
are
good,
painted, but the floor is quite dingy.
yeah. Okay, so let's change that to floor, so painting the floor,
1.
1.
1,
1.
1. 1.
Small,
And I've got some colored sealer I can donate.
okay. What color is it?
I've got green, gray, and something else
Okay,
left over from some projects, so.
good.
If I'm, that seafoam green would actually probably look pretty good in there.
Mhm. Yeah, natural. It needs a good scrubbing first, probably. Small restroom update. So we do have grown-up sized toilets there now. And the bathrooms could use a painting too. So I don't know if we should leave that on there just to get things updated. Oh, well, yeah, actually, updating the bathrooms to ADA is part of the grant. So I guess we put it as a 1 because we've already got it in. Do you guys agree?
Yes.
Trail signage,
1,
1,
1.
2,
2,
2,
2,
Zip line or slack line?
liability, it
2,
sounds like to me. Zip line would be pretty pricey. I'd give it a 3.
2,
3,
3,
till we know what's gonna happen to that park. 3,
3.
okay, anything else for
yeah, at
Kiwanis?
Kiwanis, we talked about having the back 9 of the disc golf course tee boxes.
Mhm. Yes,
Cement, leveled in cement, so they play the back 9.
So I don't know if this is big enough to call it is kind of big to call a project out. So why don't we add that, Victor, as the disc golf upgrade, we'll just call it or something like that. So Dick,
1,
1,
1,
1,
1,
1,
1.
great, good. Okay, anything else for Kiwanis? Okay, Cosequat and the skate park. Bike fix-it station. I guess.
does this include Overlook Park?
I'm just wondering if that's what she means is like where the wheelway comes in
Mhm.
to do it there instead of down here.
That's what it seems like. That's the
Okay.
Cosequat area.
Okay, so
Yes.
let's just assume that, Dick.
2,
1,
1,
2,
2,
1,
2.
the next 2 items are part of the grant. Should we put them at 1? Okay. Okay, anything else for Cosequat? Well, there's the whole playground, which is actually a capital project for down the road. So I guess we'll leave it off the small project list. Okay, Marina Park, fall event,
1,
1,
1,
1,
1,
1,
1.
lawn rehab,
1,
1,
1.
1,
1,
1,
And Rachel always already has re-upped with Dan's group. Oh, God, John.
I'm just sitting here minding my own business.
You
It's
should
fine.
have drawn a spot,
I
that's
know,
why.
normally I'm sitting next to you poking at you, so you're done.
What's your number? So Rachel already has re-upped with Dan's Green Side Up for the same treatment we've had the last 2 years, so that's good. What about Harbor Eats? That's getting people to come there to sell food there. So last year it was Tiffy's Taffel or whatever that's called, and somebody else was there too, I can't remember who.
2,
2,
2.
3,
3,
2,
3.
We talked a little about long-term landscape plan. Do we even need runners? And just keep it flexible and green space, so not add a lot more hardscape.
right, it's good the way it is.
Dick,
1.5,
I would give it a 1.
I'd say 2.
3,
3,
2,
I'm gonna say 2, just continue to maintain what we got.
Yeah. Okay, anything else for Marina Park? We do have life rings going in there on the docks. I think Rachel's buying some new stuff for the game box. Shea Park,
2,
there's tables, benches, shade options.
1,
1,
Well, right now it's a construction site. That's where they're all parking their trucks. every
What do you
day.
mean?
At Upper Shane.
No, this is lower shade.
This is
like,
Shea
Oh,
Park,
oh,
yeah.
oh.
There's-
Where the
The boat.
boat is.
Oh, okay,
Uh-huh.
where that is, all right. So it has tables, benches, you could use shade options, so two.
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 And this is gonna be a lot bigger deal, I'm sure, but you know, the Historic Society's working on that, refurbishing the locomotive, and I don't think anybody specifically said that's where they wanna put it, or I don't know, have they, Victor?
They've talked about it, but we don't have a proposal yet.
Yeah. So I don't know if this is like a vote of confidence for having it there. Dick,
3,
2, 3,
3.
3, 2.
Two.
okay, anything else for Shay? I think it has turned out to be a great place for the food trucks and people have lunch there.
What's the name of the park at the top of Shade Drain?
Shea.
Shea.
Shea Overlook.
It's the Shea Drain.
Overlook.
It says Shea Overlook
Shea
sign.
Overlook, yeah.
I haven't lost it totally. That's why I was.
And yes, it is confusing.
Yeah, Shea has a
It's a
reputation.
good place to put a locomotive.
Okay, let's look at Zoll Street Beach, dog control. So what are we saying about that? Are we happy with what it is now? Do we even know what it is?
yeah, who controls it?
Well, it's just the policy, like, do we allow dogs during the day or only before and after hours? So what would a one mean?
I think one would mean dog control is a priority, like having dog control over the dog situation is a priority. Priority 3 would mean it's not that big of a deal to control the dog situation there.
2,
It could also mean delineating a path for dogs and people to get to the beach. I would give it a 2.
2,
2,
2.
3.
3.
And this would probably end up being a capital project, but having a public restroom there. So in the summer, is there a porta potty?
Mhm. It's lovely too.
1,
I would give it a 2.
One, I guess.
Another $500,000, huh? 2.
3.
3,
3, because we have this building so close.
which not a lot of people know about, which I don't know if that's a good thing or bad.
So life ring has been ordered for Soul Beach. Okay, then we have the Zorn City Beach and Green Space. So the playground install will just say is the 1. Restroom remodel has been done. Shade options. So the 2 big sugar maples there are not healthy. And I guess Rachel's gonna work with getting them trimmed. But we did discuss, like, should we start a couple other trees there? So this will be with tree board, of course. But just so all of a sudden we cut them down and there's nothing there. So, and then this also has to do with umbrellas.
3,
2.
1,
2.
3.
1,
3.
interesting, all over the place on that one. Okay, the next one is, should we have a game box there? And that would be like, I would think that would be maybe more beach toys than like what we have at Marina Park.
2,
1.
1,
1.
3.
1,
3.
okay, tree planting kind of, we've already said. The railing.
I would think
So
it-
right now that railing is not to code and it's not even remotely safe. That's by the boathouse there.
1,
1.
1.
1.
1.
1,
1.
So I don't know, Victor, if that could be something that would come out of waterfront. It could come out of it.
We figure out the funding amongst Nick, myself. And the department, so.
They're working on that right now.
Are they?
Well, working on the boards, there's those red benches that are blocking the way.
That's the boards, yeah.
Yeah, they're working on the boards, not the
Not
railing.
Okay. And more life rings are on order. Okay, anything else for the beach?
Back up to Zoll Street Beach, you you skipped over the kayak storage?
Oh. I thought we did that.
After
Did
Zoll
we do
Street.
that, Victor?
No,
That is also-
no, we didn't.
It's not really
Yeah, I think it's.
not our say,
Well,
per se. I don't think we got
It's-
anything to do with that. This board.
I would say that this board though can make a recommendation to Harbor Commission and to the council. So it is a park. So if the Parks Board wants to make a recommendation, Harbor Commission, that we need more kayak storage space, then take it to Harbor Commission and Harbor Commission looks it over. And give the advice to council. So
Because I think it's been
We
discussed
already have
before.
kayak
it has been,
storage there,
it has been discussed before. So I think the question really is about increasing it or
right, redesigning it.
redesigning it.
I've given it 2.
What about Dick?
Two.
Two.
I'm actually gonna say 1 on that one, because that's been a hot topic for several years. Cleaning it up or redesigning.
Almost there.
Okay, last one, this is the miscellaneous parks, Washington Street, access bench, that's done. Tourist park, tables and benches. That says not started, but aren't there tables up there?
Yep.
All right, so we can just vote. Do you think that's important?
3.
2.
2.
3, 2.
2.
So on Indian Town, rather than future site plan, because we don't know what's going on yet with the development there, right? We can just say, how about site furniture? We talked about that at our last meeting.
I can tell you that the gentleman who built the house across the street, the new house across the street, he approached me. I put him in touch with Rachel, and they are working on getting a bench with a memorial plaque for a son that he's lost. And so he's donating the bench, as far as I know. Is that right?
And Rachel had also, we discussed her meeting with somebody from the tribe to say what would be useful for you guys to have here,
And also the
like
name,
tables or benches.
and also the name.
And then also the basketball nets. And do we need to paint the backwards or something? So I think Rachel's working on that. So why don't we just say site furniture then? Yep,
I'm gonna say 3 because we don't know what the tribe's gonna do yet.
3.
2,
2.
3, 2.
3.
okay, and Harborview Park is the one at Hoyt and 119. So there's that big blob of brush, shrubs and stuff that's in the middle, and then just some scraggly stuff around the outside. So, and then there's also discussion about like just doing a simple walking trail around there for people coming from Bay Bluffs. So, Dick,
1.
2.
1.
1.
2, 1.
1.
Yay. Okay, good job. And then the next meeting, Rachel will tally all that up, and we'll find out what our most important things are and what we need to do to get them underway, what staff and what's part of it. Okay, Rachel's report. They have a full staff of lifeguards this year, so that is awesome. So
Great.
yeah, so it should be fully staffed whenever the beach is open. She's going to begin a junior program as well, 1 to 2 staff members who are too young to be guards, but can do other things, and will qualify the following year. So that's who'll pick up the goose poop. Great program to get people interested and get their feet wet. Let's see. Oh, the Blind Highlands, or the Highlands, they're calling it now. The chairlift auction is going on right now. And the proceeds are gonna go half to Habitat for Humanity and half to the skate park.
That's gonna be a substantial amount of money,
Yeah.
tens of thousands.
Awesome.
So thank you to the Highlands for that. That's huge. Donation policy update following the council meeting.
We're gonna have a donation policy that we're bringing to council, so to clarify, we have one for like benches and some other small things, but we want to have one for the entire donation scheme. So Charlevoix has,
Like playgrounds, for example.
well, anything, yeah, Charlevoix has a real good policy, donations policy that we're gonna use
See
as
if
a
I can
template.
find the tribe.
Okay. Just a few parks updates. The tall grasses are gonna be cut down on the spillway and at Marina Park. The planting beds at Marina Park are gonna be expanded on each side about 6 inches, so we have more room for flowers. Dan's Green Side Up will be doing a yearly spring treatment, and he's gonna do it earlier this year. Everybody wants to mark their calendar down. Wednesday, May 24th is the planting day for the Harbor Springs Garden Club, and we're gonna do Marina Park at the same time, 11 o'clock in the morning. So let's see, show of hands, how many people think they would come help? Not you. Okay, so what is that? 6. So that's great. I have another thing to add too. The tree board is doing Arbor Day again. And that also is in May on the 27th, I think.
Saturday,
Yep,
yeah.
Saturday, the
11
27th.
to-
And it's a lot of fun. This will be our, I guess, our 3rd year now. We're doing it at Kiwanis Park again, and activities for families. We did bird feeder craft, walk and talk on tree ID, art with nature, tree climbing with
This
them.
year, we're gonna do.
Yeah, Rachel did that actually.
Rachel suggested that this year that Trevor does another
Disc golf.
disc golf
Demo.
demonstration.
That
Yeah,
was very
That was pretty
popular.
popular last year, so.
And then I know at tree board, we discussed a scavenger hunt.
Yeah.
So that'll be
We'll
good.
talk
So
about this, right.
I think for Parks Board, it's just more show up.
Yeah, if you can show up, yeah, and spread the word.
Yeah. And
We're gonna
11
I talked to I had our student representative on the tree board talk to the art teacher, Mrs. Talcott, and I think they're going to get several classes to do artwork for the building, so we'll have probably maybe several dozen drawings
Yeah,
of
we
trees
still got
in
some up
nature.
from
Yeah.
last year. Yeah, so that's pretty fun too.
Pretty cool.
Link the kids in.
What about Mr. Hemingway?
Yeah, I don't know if we'll have him back. We actually have tree board meeting on Friday, so more details to follow. Yeah. So this is still a month off, but is anybody interested in coming to help with that?
Yeah, turn.
Show hand,
Can work,
Saturday,
can work.
okay,
Maybe.
a couple, okay. Couple's better than nothing. Okay, Nate is cleaning up the skate park. Trevor and Rob start the week before their Rachel's helpers in the summer before Memorial Day with general parks maintenance and city trash. DPW has been doing spring cleanup at the parks. Mike Johnson is amazing and deep cleaned the Marina Harbor Master Building restrooms after heavy off-season use. So those are ready to go and the life rings are on order. And we have what are things to announce? Let's see. Talked about the passport brochure. So the quote from Topo Nexus came in at 7,200, and Lucy Older has also submitted a proposal for 3,700. So I don't know if we'll have to send it out to somebody else too. It'd be great to partner with Topo Nexus. I think Rachel is going to talk about seeing if they could partner with somebody else for the graphics work, or if there's some way we could get the price down. And then that's on hold until we get through the playground thing to make sure we aren't going to have any added expenses with that. Dates we talked about. How about for the next meeting, let's everybody bring ideas for summer programming. Like we talked about maybe doing a learn to disc golf clinic. And then yoga in the park. So if there's any other ideas, let's talk about that. And then this is something that a citizen asked me about. What do people think about doing our meeting at 5:30 instead of 6? Does that make it rough for people that are working or?
Doesn't matter to me. Half hours in a big time.
Doesn't matter. Me,
What do you guys think? Do you like 6 o'clock or would 5:30 help out and get on with your?
Sounds not bad, not bad.
Sorry?
5:30 's not bad.
Doesn't matter to me.
Everybody's good.
Try it and see.
Okay, yeah. Should we do our next meeting at 5:30?
Okay.
Guess we better make it sure it's okay with Rachel. Okay,
Stereotype.
that's all I got.
Yeah, easy for you to say, right?
Do we have any public comments, any other comments about what we discussed tonight before we close? Nothing from Zoom? Okay, we're adjourned.
all right.
At 7:23.
The next meeting, I'll try to have a blueprint on what to try.
That would